Guten Tag. Mein Name ist Damian. Look at me, bilingual.
You're not bilingual. We went over this last week. I know how to speak a little Spanish. I can say, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Where is the library? And Mi llamo T-Bone la Arango Discoteca, which I've probably mispronounced, but my name is T-Bone the Disco Spider.
Cool. Library's the same in French and Spanish. Who knows?
Might be biblioteca. Might have got that wrong. It's been a while since I watched
Bibliotecas.
Let's run the jingle and I'll see. That can be our cold open.
Yes. Go for it. Hit it.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 23 of the Figure Fourcast. I'm your host, Damien Cross, and as always I'm joined by the mighty Janetti to my Shawn Michaels, Sammy Drip Drip.
You're John Morrison to your Mears. You've been waiting for that one. I forgot that you said you wanted to do that last week, but I took over with my bilingual skills.
Yeah, brought it back. It wasn't going to waste. How are you doing, Sam?
Well done. Yeah, all good. Seems to be a bit of a whirlwind 7 days since we last spoke. Fans are back in wrestling, and the world seems to be a bit of a brighter place because of it.
Yeah, watching SmackDown last week was refreshing. It was still WWE. It still had a lot of WWE problems, but just having a crowd, it was almost like the last year hadn't happened, and you need that escape in life, so that was good. Watched a little bit of AEW as well, and then obviously we had Money in the Bank.
That SmackDown was so funny, wasn't it? Like the euphoria of crowds being back, the Edge pop, and then the first three matches, the screwy finishes, roll-ups, like, hey, it's WWE! How did we forget?
Yeah.
But it was a good show, and so is Money in the Bank, and so is AEW, and fans are definitely adding to it. It's just that extra bit of spice, that extra element that we've been missing throughout the crowdless pandemic era, and it's so good.
Yeah.
And we've had some returns, which have had a big pop.
Yeah, we'll get to those in a moment. I think we need to start by talking about the pay-per-view. It's obviously the biggest event we've had recently. Overall, I pretty much enjoyed most of the show. There's a couple of booking decisions I wasn't too pleased with, but we'll get to those. But overall, I thought it was a really good show, and probably the most enjoyable one from WWE. Maybe since before the pandemic, but definitely in recent times, one of the most enjoyable. Excluding stuff like the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, because they're kind of like a beast of their own, but of just a regular pay-per-view, one of the best, if not the best, for a while.
100% agree, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think it is mainly due to the fans being back and just having that reaction. But the matches were great, and it looked like all of the wrestlers were sort of bouncing off of the audience being there. It was just so good. Even some of the matches that you thought going into it, like Rhea against Charlotte, sort of outlived any expectations that we had. We both know that everyone knows that all of these wrestlers are great, but that Rhea Charlotte feud was, I don't think I'm stepping the line here saying it's probably the worst feud of the year. I'd say for me it's at least the most underwhelming, and they delivered in the match, which was good to see.
It was the least anticipated match of the night for me, and I'm going to assume, based on the reaction from the crowd, it was not very anticipated for the crowd. They did not seem into it at the start. The "We Want Becky" chants, drawing middle fingers from Charlotte. Really funny thing, I don't know if you noticed, that WWE tried to go to a black screen to avoid showing that, and somehow completely failed. She had a middle finger up, she put it down, they went to a black screen, it came back, and she had a middle finger up again.
How do you manage that?
So they censored everything but the bit they were trying to censor, which is hilarious. But they won the crowd round.
It was great.
probably match of the night. At the time, pretty disappointed that Charlotte won. But, spoilers for Monday Night Raw, it all made sense 24 hours later. So,
yeah, kind of, I suppose. I guess that links perfectly into the next match on the card. The women's Money in the Bank match. And we had a winner that neither of us had predicted.
no.
Nikki Ash, or Nikki ASH, Nikki Ash, whatever you want to call her. She ended up winning and was kind of just taking advantage of Alexa Bliss being buried under ladders, which is seen for huge men like Mark Henry, Braun Strowman, and the Big Show. And 5'0" Alexa Bliss was underneath some ladders, and the rest of the competitors were fighting it out. Nikki Cross just strolls up there, grabs the briefcase. Job's a good one, work done. And she has the briefcase. What do you think of the match? And the winner?
It was a weird one. I've discussed this with some other people I know that watch wrestling, and I did want to bring it. I said so. I'll bring it up on here that the women's Money in the Bank matches are really good, but they feel very different to the men's ones. It really seems like the men take it as an opportunity to throw themselves around and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Or at least Kevin Owens does.
And it seems like the women aren't quite there on wanting to do that, which is fine. Don't do anything risky if you don't want to. But with the Money in the Bank match, I feel like it takes a little bit away from it. So having this very different kind of finish, which is not something we've ever seen in this kind of match before, I think kind of worked. It makes it feel different instead of having two very similar matches. You got the different styles there, and kind of played into it. But it felt a little weird at the time. I obviously watched it on Monday, had to work unfortunately, but as I thought on it after watching it, I was like, oh, actually, I think I liked it. I think I liked that it was unique. So
yeah, and look, long-term storytelling, baby. Nikki Cross ends up losing to Charlotte and Rhea Ripley kind of winning by default a few weeks in a row, and now she's the champion, man. Long-term storytelling.
Mentioned it last week, but it's now the fourth women's Money in the Bank cash-in that's happened within 24 hours of getting the briefcase. A little bit disappointed.
Is that a problem?
I'm a little bit disappointed she didn't hold it on for longer.
Yeah.
But if they've got a plan for Big E to carry it for a long time, then I'm fine with it. Having two stories running of it, both like holding it for a long time, both baby faces, obviously could be a bit of a it's diminishing returns kind of thing if you've got two people doing it throughout the year. But
yeah,
I would like to see a long-term female.
Yeah, me too.
Holder.
Me too. Because we haven't seen it since Carmella. She's got the record, and then it was Bayley cashed in on the same night as you went over last week. Alexa Bliss was the day after or something.
Same night.
Oh no, Alexa Bliss was the same night, and then it was
Asuka being awarded the title
day after. Yeah, that's it. So it's ridiculous a little bit, and it was, and look, such a babyface move by Nikki. I'm just going to call her Nikki, to come down and take advantage of a already fallen Charlotte Flair. Massive babyface move.
It is a bit weird, but it's wrestling.
I think I've decided. At the beginning, I really didn't like this character. I didn't mind that she won the Money in the Bank. I thought it was a bit weird, but I've decided I just really don't like it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Fair play. She enjoys it. She pitched the idea, but that doesn't mean that we can't criticise it. It sucks. I think it sucks.
It's not above criticism. I've been trying to look at it as how I would have when I first got into wrestling. Like I've mentioned it before, big fan of the Hurricane when I first started watching wrestling, and I feel like if I was 10 and watching it now, I'd be a big fan of Super Nikki, as I prefer to call her. Especially,
I don't know.
A 10-year-old me would have found it amazing, especially as we have the same. I'm doing it air quotes surname. But yeah, I feel like it's not aimed at adults. It's aimed at the younger audience.
I know, but like the Hurricane was fun and funny and exciting. Nikki Cross is a loser. She won a couple of matches against the two top contenders by default and celebrated them like she won the World Cup. And then she sneaks a victory to win the Money in the Bank, and then she takes advantage of the champion when she's down. It's not very superhero-like behaviour for me.
No, but let's see where it goes. I'm enjoying.
I don't want to see where it goes.
I'm enjoying the moments enough that I want to see where this goes, and she's really enjoying herself, so I can't hate on it too much.
I don't care if she's enjoying herself. I don't give a shit. I'm not enjoying myself. That's not fun for me. Let's move on. Anyway, let's move on
to the men's Money in the Bank. We've mentioned the winner already. It was won by Big E.
I don't think I know anyone that is disappointed by Big E winning. He's just the best, isn't he? He really is the best.
Now, there's so many story options they can go with Big E, because you can pick which champion you face. If he faces Bobby Lashley, you've got the New Day story continues, or if he goes after Roman down the line, there's a great story to be told there. So there's a lot that can be done. Obviously, we've got the Superstar Shake-Up in a couple of months that can change a lot. But really happy with the fact he won. Really good match. Money in the Bank match is always entertaining. Obviously this was an important one in our predictions contest. I thought you had it a couple of times. I thought Riddle was going to win.
Yeah, me too. I can't be angry that Big E won.
No.
I honestly can't. You know that spot where Riddle pushed Ricochet off the ladder and he bounced on the rope and he almost flipped too high and went kind of over the guys. It sort of looked like he surprised himself how high he flipped. I was so tired when it got to that match. And honestly, I nearly shot out my seat when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, what have I just watched? It's incredible. And watching it the next day, it was just equally as good. And you're just kind of like, there you go, WWE. Remember, Ricochet's actually really good. Like, please do something with him. But he wasn't done anything with on Raw the night after, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. While we're talking about our predictions, the other important one for our predictions was a pre-show match between the Usos and Team Mysterio. Do they have an actual team name, or is it just?
I think it's just Rey and Dominic Mysterio, isn't it?
Unfortunately for me, the Usos won.
Yeah, man. Bloodline's got all the gold.
I was very salty about that on Sunday night. Not a great way to start the predictions.
Cried
that meant we
to
drew.
sleep. It did.
So we'll have to hold off on the title coronation for another time. The match was pretty good though. For a pre-show match as well.
Yeah, it was great.
It really delivered. Could easily have gone onto the card if something else hadn't been able to happen. So, yeah, hats off to all four for their performances.
Well, it was 100 times better than the Raw Tag Team title match on there, which seemed like sort of just a standard Raw match in a way. Which I guess it was, because it just filled in for the time that Bayley and Bianca were going to be on the card.
Yeah, probably should have been swapped. I think they probably should have been swapped, if I'm honest. No offense. No insult aimed at AJ Styles, Viking Raiders, and Omos, but it didn't really feel like it needed that spot on the card. Pre-show version would have been fine, but that's someone backstage's decision what goes where, so they obviously wanted it on the card for a reason. Hopefully going forward there can be some actual story involved in the build-up for it, because it could have been a good match, but there was just not really anything special about it.
Did you see the entrances for Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio? Like the little portal thing?
Yeah.
That they did at the beginning. I 100% thought Dom was coming out in a mask after that.
I did.
Like it was just a little thing. And he did. He came out in like a weird thing on his face, but then he took it off. I was like, what the fuck? But it just seemed a bit out of place if he wasn't going to be put the mask put on him.
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point we get Prince Mysterio or whatever they decide to call him.
Maybe.
I don't know what Spanish for Prince is. I think I looked it up once. I can never remember what it is, but
El Princo.
almost certainly not that.
No.
So,
do we think that we could get a Dominic and Ray match at SummerSlam?
Not as some.
Sort of mirroring what happened with Eddie and Ray.
Not
It
this
could
SummerSlam.
happen. It could happen. You know WWE, they can't stretch things out for another year.
No, I don't think 4 weeks is enough to build it. If
They'll probably be released by next year.
if he had turned heel on his dad at Money in the Bank, like
He could turn heel
attacked him after
tonight.
the ropes, that would have been good. Could happen tonight, I guess. I don't think 4 weeks is long enough to book that, unfortunately. But we'll see. I wouldn't be too opposed to seeing it. I think it would be pretty entertaining.
I've just got, I'll tell you what, I've got amazing visions of Ray and Dom going against the Usos, losing, failing, and then over the next week or so, Roman Reigns in Dominic's ear, spitting poison in there, and then him turning on Ray and going into the bloodline with with Roman and the Usos, and then there's the match at SummerSlam. That's what I've got in my head.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be completely opposed to
That
seeing.
Reigns character though, he's just so evil, isn't he? Like, what's the most evil thing you can do? Get your son to turn against yourself, your father,
Well,
whatever it is.
I think we know where the Reigns story is going, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about
I can smell something.
Kofi versus Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
Bobby looked dominant. Like,
That's what we wanted.
it's what we wanted. It didn't look bad, I don't think, for Kofi Kingston. It just showed how dominant Bobby Lashley is, and it's like the last couple of weeks he's sensed that he's been looking weak, and he's kind of turned it around, and just he's all about beating people up, and it's good character work. So quite enjoying
Yeah,
the match.
I think it's
Well,
absolutely
pretty good.
brilliant, to be honest. It's what we wanted, him to be dominant, and just coming out that match as a standalone, I was happy because Bobby Lashley's Bobby Lashley. Look at him. In real life, that is exactly what he'd do to pretty much anyone on the planet. But then coming into the next night on Raw, having Goldberg come down as the number one contender, that's what you need Bobby Lashley to be, the dominator against Goldberg. And then when he goes over Goldberg, imagine like the pedestal that Bobby Lashley's going to be on after that.
Yeah,
That is assuming that he goes over Goldberg.
Assuming he goes over Goldberg at SummerSlam, that puts him in a great spot as a main eventer, and whoever eventually beats him gets a good rub from that. But that is a big assumption of that he beats Goldberg, because if he doesn't,
Oh God,
we're
we're going to get the same dread, aren't we, that we had going into the Royal Rumble with Drew against Goldberg, thinking, oh God, please let Goldberg not win, please let Goldberg not win. Deja vu, man.
Like, I don't mind Goldberg, I just don't want him in the title picture. Like his match against, I wouldn't say Shawn Michaels, that's not what I meant. His match against Dolph Ziggler
Dolph Ziggler wishes he was like Shawn Michaels.
was really entertaining and a great use of Goldberg. Capitalise
Yeah.
on his popularity,
Yeah.
hide his limitations, and be entertaining. Putting him in the title picture isn't really ideal.
It's just boring, isn't it? It's just really boring because he doesn't do anything. Like, people would complain about Brock Lesnar matches, but at least Brock Lesnar matches are entertaining. A Goldberg match, it just has like 4 moves in, and you sort of know what's going to happen. If it goes over 5 minutes, you're shocked.
Yeah, but
I
that's
hope Bobby Lashley destroys him, rips his legs off, and beats him with it.
spear versus spear.
Oh God! Please no.
Talking about spear versus spear, see, got the nice
Whew.
segue. Roman
Jeez,
Reigns versus
that's-
Edge. We forgot about it last week. We forgot to predict it on the video.
How? How did we do that? We had the same prediction anyway. It was pretty obvious.
No, neither of us thought Edge was going to win. Although a couple of times in the match, I was like, "Oh, maybe." Nah. Oh, nah.
Yeah. You know, if I hadn't have seen the rest of the show with the Seth Rollins sort of teasers going into it, I would have thought, yeah, maybe Edge. But they made it pretty clear throughout the show and on the SmackDown before as well, when Seth Rollins made the whole breaking your neck comment that Seth was going to get involved and this is what we're getting for SummerSlam, which I am absolutely down for.
Yeah, Edge versus Rollins will be a great match. They're both pretty good, and I feel like they're going to have a good in-ring chemistry together.
You know what it is? It's one of those visuals that you get, you know, when you're scrolling through Instagram, one of the mock-ups that people have done is like a dream match for a WrestleMania or something. Seth Rollins Edge, and it's going to be great watching it actually happen in real life.
And we also set up another match with this match. We got confirmation of who Roman Reigns is going to be facing at SummerSlam when the second return of the 4 week we're going to talk about. John Cena came out to close the show. His haircut weirded me out just because it's not the typical John Cena haircut. It's going to take some getting used
He had
to.
hat hair as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
But it was a bit longer and a bald patch.
He came out to challenge Roman Reigns, and WWE are advertising him as appearing on every single show, I think, between now and SummerSlam. So that's SmackDown,
even
and
the
Raw,
house shows,
and some of the super house shows. So we're going to get to see a good amount of Cena. I don't know if we're going to get any in-ring Cena stuff, but
I don't know. And it's weird that he's on Raw, isn't it? Other than the obvious sort of ratings grabs that they want John Cena being on there. Like this week when he was on Raw, it's just kind of like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying, but why are you here and why aren't you on SmackDown?
Hopefully he faces one of the Usos in a match on 1 week. Just
that'll be fun.
It's pretty entertaining seeing Cena. As long as he's not doing that weird punch finishing move.
Oh God.
I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to.
What did you make of his whole reasoning for going up against Roman Reigns? Not that he said that he didn't want the championship as such. He just thinks that Roman Reigns is an asshole. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's not exactly wrong with how Roman has been portrayed. So it's a bit of a weird motivation. Like, well, he's such an asshole. I'm going to have to come back and beat him up. But it's wrestling. That is what it is, isn't it? I'm looking forward to their promos because their previous feud had some pretty good back and forth promos. John Cena has dropped some pretty amazing lines on Roman and the Usos in the past, so hopefully there's plenty more of those over the next couple of weeks. Could he win?
No, absolutely not. No, not with potential of The Rock being moved for Survivor Series. But just going back to Cena's promo, I think Reigns has the perfect comeback for this week's SmackDown. Like, you can go, well, John, this sort of title that's round my waist, on my shoulder, this is the reason that sort of any one of you, anyone in the locker room, is getting paid. This is why any of you are getting food on your table. This promoting the whole company. And for you to say that you're not interested in the title, who really is the arsehole? Like, is it you saying that this title doesn't matter, or is it me sort of putting prestige on it and getting the company out there and putting food on people's tables? That's what's got to happen, surely.
But even with all the improvements Roman has made and his mic skills over the years, I don't think he can win verbally against Cena. I don't know.
I don't know. I think this character you could. I think he really could. He's on the next level.
It all comes down to what they obviously tell them to say, but like Cena he's up there in contention for one of the best on the mic of all time. Like,
Yeah.
he is one like promo offs. I don't know if that like, but he's come out as the better promo. Don't know if any of these are real words. With so many other good people, even getting one up on The Rock, who is another one of best of all time contention for mic skills. And when they were doing their twice in a lifetime back and forth, a couple of times Cena came out on top. Surprising. Like, Roman needs to be given some good stuff and bring his A game to the ring if he's talking tonight or any night.
I have no doubt that Roman's going to hold his own. This character's it's bulletproof for me. I think he can do it. He gets it to a T. Just drop that line, Roman. I'll send a voice note over to you tonight. Make sure you get it before SmackDown. Show it to Vinnie Mac and get it on the show.
Interesting side story about John Cena this week. Not really wrestling related too much, but I wanted to bring it up because it's kind of funny. He was doing some press tour for the Suicide Squad, and Margot Robbie revealed that her boyfriend when she was 21 was a massive John Cena fan, and she slept in a bedroom with a cardboard cutout of him for 2 years.
That sounds like my old bedroom.
Which should be great news for any male wrestling fans, that you can get a girl like Margot Robbie if you're a massive John Cena fan. Like, what more could you ask for?
Maybe that's what you're keeping secret from me. Are you dating Margot Robbie?
I wish. But at the same time, I think that would be really fucking awkward. I wouldn't know what to say to her. She's too famous for me. I wouldn't know what to say to her.
I don't know. You've got smooth lines.
No, I do not.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You see the transitions you do in this podcast? Smooth. Smooth as a baby's bum, as my mother would say.
Can I make a transition out of that? No, I can't. Let's move on to some of the other returns from...
Just do the Michael Cole. Switching gears over to SmackDown. Finn Balor returned.
Yeah, Finn Balor returned on SmackDown.
Finn Balor! That's how you have to say it. You have to say it in an Irish accent.
Was expecting something to happen last week with the first live show, but that wasn't what I was expecting. And I don't know how to feel about it, because it was quite a short segment where he beats up Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And the crowd were really into it, but the brief stuff I've seen of his NXT run, I think he was doing really well. And his main roster runs have been lackluster, apart from that winning the title. Ever since then, it's all been pretty lackluster. So I don't know whether bringing him up was a good move, but
he kind of run his natural course down on NXT, because he lost his championship, had a rematch for it, and lost again. He was playing more of a serious character down there, closer to his Japanese one, I think. He sort of ditched the demon gimmick, and he was now Prince Balor, like what he was over in New Japan, where he was Prince Devitt, I think he was called. It was okay. I didn't like all of it, because it was just a bit too melodramatic for me, but his matches were really good. I think, like I say, it's probably the right time to get him up here and have some fresh feuds. I think a feud with Sami Zayn could be good. And if it's on SummerSlam, could potentially be sort of a stealer match for match of the night if you want.
Yeah. I can't be disappointed. I like Finn Balor as a competitor. I think he's pretty entertaining. But
the thing is, when he first came up to the main roster, he just is. It's been so stop-start, hasn't it? Because of injuries. He got that injury after he won the Universal title, and I think he was going to get pushed to the moon then. And yeah, it sort of just petered out. Like, didn't know what to do with him. So hopefully he gets off to a hot start, no injuries, consistency, and look, he could do anything he wants. He's great.
Could be a good competitor for Roman Reigns at one of the pay-per-views after SummerSlam.
Could.
Not saying he's going to win, but it would be a good match. So yeah, there's a lot you can do with him.
Even the mid-card, Apollo Crews could get good matches there. Yeah, new faces, new rivalries, that's what you need on SmackDown. Let's not have King Nakamura against sad Baron Corbin for the 8 millionth time on SmackDown, please.
How long before Baron Corbin has an OnlyFans?
Would you check to see if it's real?
No, I would not. I do not want to see his Baron Corbin.
Apparently the GoFundMe site, not GoFundMe, but you know what I mean, the crowdfunder thing, it's a real site, but there's no option to donate.
No, I think it would be a bit harsh to actually get people to donate.
They could have done it and just said all money goes to charity or something.
It'd be interesting to see where it goes. I think it's a very weird story, but at the same time, it's something that we don't have anywhere else on WWE programming. So
I kind of like it, but it's making me like Baron Corbin and think that Rick Boogs and everyone taking a piss out of him is a complete bellend, which I think is not what they want you to do.
It's definitely a story written by a billionaire when someone being broke and struggling for money is meant to be the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
We're meant
That's
to find it funny, not sympathetic. So
yeah, exactly. Oh well. Shall we talk about the last return then on Monday Night Raw? Keith Lee in his home state of Texas.
Yeah, people have been wondering where Keith Lee has been for a long time. He's been very mysterious on Twitter, but he's back. So whatever the reason was, it must be solved.
Mysteriously,
came
I
out to
get
fight
close to you.
Bobby Lashley as well, which was quite surprising. Like, I fully expected it to be Goldberg for the open challenge.
Yeah.
And then when it was Keith Lee, I was like, "Oh, this is great! Like, this is way better than Goldberg." And then Goldberg came out immediately afterwards. But
yeah,
I still think it was a good bait and switch, even though they did do the Goldberg reveal. I thought it was a good way to bring Keith Lee back and basically put him where he was when he left. He was in that kind of sub-main event push. Like, he was around the title, but you never really thought he was going to win it. And then he was in like the United States title scene, but he was near the top of the card, and I feel like it was just putting him back where he was. Hopefully that carries on in the next few weeks. Don't know what the plans are going to be for him, but it's good to see him back.
Do you think he's got a bit of steam that's like just completely gone from his return, losing clean to Bobby Lashley on his first night back in like 5 minutes?
It's Bobby Lashley, so
yeah, that's what I mean. Could he have returned in a bit better scenario that made him not lose instantly?
But he got a huge pop, and
he did.
Although he lost, I don't think a loss is always that, especially when it's a loss to the world champion. I don't think it's always that damaging. As long as it's only one, as long as he gets a few wins now, I reckon he can come around. But there is always a bit of a problem of where's the plan. Like, we've talked about it in the past, like with Cesaro and Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. If you just keep losing, it doesn't do anything for you. But as long as he then goes, maybe he faces Sheamus, wins, maybe beats Sheamus for the title. Right.
That'd be good. I just don't think they have a very high opinion of Keith Lee for whatever reason. I just don't think they get him on the main roster, and it's a shame because he could do so much.
I think the reason is his weight. Or his size.
Unfortunately, I think it is.
They're probably heavier wrestlers, but he is a big guy, and you know that the Vince McMahon mould for a wrestler is six-pack abs, so
chiseled.
He doesn't really fit that. But he's entertaining, and he can move insanely well for a big guy.
Yeah.
like not even half his size. I couldn't do half the stuff he does. Not even about like strength wise. Like he does that power bomb where he jumps up and turns it into a sit down arm.
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't do that. And that's.
I'd pay money for him to do that move on you. I'd love to see that. Absolutely love to see that.
We'll at Keith Lee and see how much he wants to do it. I'll do it. It'll be good for the podcast.
It might not be good for your vertebrae though. Who needs vertebrae these days?
It's all safe. We'll do it in a ring. Right, it'll be fine.
Yeah, use protection. It'll be fine. It's all good.
It's like Shane McMahon. You can jump off anything. You just take some time off afterwards.
But this took a turn that I didn't expect. But that's all of the wrestling returns that we've covered this week. Now, a little birdie tells me, Damien, that you've got a bit of a rant to have. You've got a bit of a chip on your shoulder. Enlighten us.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a rant this is going to become, but I had a bit of a realisation after watching Money in the Bank. And that was that at the time, all but Bianca Belair, so every champion apart from Bianca Belair, was a heel in WWE. All of them. Now, obviously, Charlotte Flair has since lost her title to Super Nikki, but it made me realise that WWE have a problem at the moment with baby faces because they have struggled for quite a while to know how to book them, but it's become more and more apparent that there's no one built up to be a top star who is a face. Like Rhea Ripley was a face and she wasn't handled very well. Bianca Belair hasn't been handled very well despite still being champion, and potentially would have lost the title to Bayley in an I Quit match. I don't think she would have, but it was a potential. But every other champion is a heel. All the faces, when they're champion, they're booked badly, and they're not built up, and that's quite a problem that WWE have. And if you look at the men's scene, no one really thought Kofi was going to be Bobby Lashley. Which means Bobby Lashley has now held the title for 5 months, it will be, when it gets to SummerSlam, because he's not losing it before then. So yeah, 5 months he'll have held it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully that'll carry on 6 months to face babyface Goldberg. That's not right. He's not going to be a face. He's going to be a in between because no one really wants him to win. And Roman Reigns, who has held the title, it will be a year, won't it?
Yeah. SummerSlam
last year he won it, so it'll be an entire year. And they've had to bring John Cena in to be a top babyface for him to face. It's a bit of a tongue twister. And I don't know how WWE fixed this. It's a problem they've had for a long time, and we've discussed small parts of it before, but it was a sudden realisation over the last week that there are no top faces in WWE at the moment. Can you disagree with that?
No, not at all. WWE don't know how to book, is why. It's been a while.
Mostly.
Kind of. Like Roman Reigns, they can just about book. I don't think there's any other heel on there that's like absolutely detested. Their heels become people that they like that fans start liking. Let's not forget that Becky Lynch came out after attacking Charlotte and said, "Oh, this is all of your fault. The fans' fault." Like the generic blame it on the fans, but the fans rejected that and sort of got behind her, and that's how the man gimmick was made. And then she became sort of the biggest face in there. Cue the dog barking. This dog agrees with me. He's going, "Fuck yeah, fuck Vince." But yeah, that WWE don't know how to book. I hate to be that guy. but AEW have booked Hangman Page over the last 2 years to absolute perfection. First night, he loses to Chris Jericho for the title. He goes on to tag team with Kenny Omega, wins the championships. They go on a good run. There's sort of splits in the elite with the Young Bucks and stuff, not really liking Hangman Page, not trusting him, and they end up losing the titles to FTR. And then he goes on this huge crash course of losing his confidence, starts drinking, and all sorts happens. Eventually, he finds the Dark Order, and they sort of start building a budding friendship. Now, Hangman's like, he's sort of not trusting of them in a way, like he doesn't know if he deserves their friendship. And it's got to the point now where Hangman has sort of built up his confidence over the last year and is now challenging for the title, or is in the title picture. Now, long story short, it's making the babyface have like a relatable story of what any sort of everyday person has. Like, we all have crises of confidence, and it's how you get yourself back up with the help of your friends and do that. It's just making someone likeable. And I think it does go back to perhaps, maybe not even perhaps, Vince McMahon and the people at the top of WWE are just not connected to what like the average day person is. So, like, you try and make this Baron Corbin person a heel by kind of making him like an average day person that's hit hard times and needs money. Oh, what a dickhead! Yeah, look at this guy. Let's all laugh at him. And the most of the population goes, oh man, I feel a bit sorry for this guy, and all these guys picking on him are absolute bellends. It's just such a disconnect between like where Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and all these knob jockeys that are running WWE, the little bubble that they live in, compared to 99% of the other people in the rest of the world. I think that's probably the problem that we have, and dare I say it, it's not going to change anytime soon.
I think one of the big problems that they have at WWE is that they're so focused on the two titles that you could have big matches that weren't involving the title, the main titles, but they never make them feel very big, apart from WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Like,
yeah,
you could have a feud between Finn Balor and who's a heel on? I know he's about to go into. You could have a feud between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, and you could have it be intense, and then it be personal, and there be no title involved, and that could work, and you could get Finn Balor over. But WWE won't, because it's not a title picture. And they used to. And they changed. I don't know why they changed, but the secondary titles, the tag titles, are basically just a reason to have the match, but they don't make the match more important. And that wouldn't be such a big problem, apart from the fact that they want Roman Reigns to have this really long title reign on SmackDown, which means you just have to keep feeding him faces who then lose, but they don't have anything. They don't have any important wins, and I think that's the problem on SmackDown, and is also a bit of a problem on Raw. Is that you've got heel champions, but baby faces aren't allowed to have important wins because you want to keep your those top heels looking strong. And like, we had it, like, Sheamus has just gone off injured with the title for a month. They could have had him drop it. Have Angel Garza, not Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, sorry. Have him win the vacant title. Like, he gets a big win, Sheamus comes back, you can carry on the feud, but you built Humberto up. But instead, Sheamus kept the title. I mean, you'd say rightfully so, but it's a TV program. There was with no difference if he lost it, and it's just things like that. Like, it's easy to build someone up, just give them a big win, but WWE are very reluctant to do it, and I feel we're going to see this with Big E. He's going to go on a losing streak now. He's going to lose some big feuds because he's got the Money in the Bank, and you can't have him look too strong because he's the Money in the Bank holder, and that's what they do all the time. But it should be an opportunity to make Big E look strong before he faces whichever champion he picks.
Please don't ruin Big E, please. We're on such a high. They can't ruin him, surely.
It's such a weird thing because there's no reason to not book people strong. But time after time, WWE have failed to capitalise on someone. What's the phrase? They failed to strike while the iron is hot, or something. Like they did with Braun Strowman, hugely over. Never wins the title because you've got to make Roman, you've got to make Brock look strong. They did it with Punk back in the day, the Summer of Punk, where I don't think he main evented a single pay-per-view. He was the WWE champion. Didn't main event a single pay-per-view, then lost the belt because of Triple H texting Kevin Nash, but it wasn't Triple H, it was actually Kevin Nash, and then the story became about Triple H and Kevin Nash, not even about CM Punk. Like, he was so over, he was just printing money, but they didn't want to do that. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. It's messed up, isn't it? It's almost like, I think you mentioned it last week, they're scared of making a star that will become bigger than WWE like they did with John Cena and The Rock. But it is an age-old problem that
they say that though, and then bring The Rock and John Cena back.
Well,
I know it's going to bring
quick buck.
I know it's going to bring public eyes back onto them, but
make
loads of stars. They'll go off and make movies in Hollywood, and then you'll bring them back, and you'll be printing money. Like, they're literally saying one thing and doing the other thing at the same time. Well, we don't want to do this because if we do this, we can do this other thing that will make us money. Wait, why are we not doing this again?
It's so simple, really, isn't it? But yeah, it seems so complicated for WWE. I don't think it's a problem that we're going to solve in one night, unfortunately.
No.
But look, you've had a few of our thoughts on there, and I think that is a wrap for today.
Yeah.
I think that's the podcast. So yeah, thank you for ranting, Damien, and for joining me. It's been enjoyable talking about Money in the Bank.
Love a good wrestling rant.
Yeah, and we could potentially have some big stories to talk about next week if the rumours are true, and Daniel Bryan, and potentially CM Punk become All Elite. But we'll see. We'll let the stories run their course, and if anything gets confirmed, we'll be on it. So thank you for listening this week. I have been Sam Gardner. Damien has been Damien Cross. He will give you the socials. But for me, good night, thank you, and see you next week.
As always, you can check out more of our wrestling thoughts over on Twitter by searching Figure 4 UK, on Facebook by searching the Figure Fourcast, and on YouTube, where you can also find us by searching the Figure Fourcast. Thank you for listening, and we hope you join us next time.